We know at Tomorrow Movement that building a movement needs more than just passion. It takes strategic communication and messaging across a range of different medias. What is the value of media and what does it bring to our campaign? Is that it increases the reach of our campaign. It brings issues to the attention of people who haven't heard of it before, and through that, it generates support for our campaign. It creates pressure on those in power by us demonstrating the power of our campaign and those that support it. And it also changes attitudes and perceptions on an issue by breaking down the myths and barriers of our campaign and the alternative narratives that sits around it. So what is the media landscape and what are the range of different medias that we can use in strategic communication and messaging? So we have owned media, and this is within the PESO model, and the owned is the content that you own. It's specifically created for your brand, your campaign, that is published on channels that you own. So examples of owned media includes anything that is published to something that you completely own, such as a website or direct communications, such as email newsletters or SMSs. The value of owned media is that it's low risk. It can't be shut down when the policies change or a platform dies. So you own your website, you own the communication to send to people through emails and SMSs. And it's a long-term asset then because the content will also draw audiences for as long as it's relevant. Think about an email in a newsletter to your website. That email is going to continue to draw people to the website for as long as it's in somebody's inbox. Cons, owned media is slow. It does take time to build an audience. Your website doesn't just grow, people going there from the day one. It needs to be visible in search engines. It needs to have impressions in search engines, and people need to trust your campaign and your brand that your campaign has to go through that website and trust that information. It's also not independent. So it requires a combination with paid, earned, and shared to build an audience. So, what is shared media? Shared media is the content that you own that's shared on social media platforms. So, once you share something to your social media channels, what happens next is out of your hands, and that's why it's shared. So, once you post it, it's sitting on Instagram, it's sitting on Facebook, it's sitting on TikTok. Whether those platforms decide to take it down, to moderate it, to push it out through the algorithm, and that's outside your control. And also is people sharing it themselves. So, whether or not people engage with it through liking or commenting or sharing it onto their stories, that's something completely outside of your control. And those are great examples of the social media platforms and their impact. You can also have social forums and reviews and internal Slack social channels such as Slack and Discord. Now, Slack and Discord are shared rather than owned because what happens if the platform shuts it down? What if there's a change in policies of the things that they allowed to do or not be said within them? So there is not the full ownership that you have or autonomy of a website or sending emails or SMSs. There's no third party that's moderating them. So shared media, the pros there that it's high trust. People trust their peers sharing on social media more than a media or ad. So think about it. When your friend share something on their story and you have a really high trust relationship with them, you're going to believe what's in that post that's in their story and that they've shared. It's also low cost in terms of if your content is amplified, like lots of people see it, it's tied to the quality and how well you're tapping into what's happening within society rather than the dollars that you put behind it. However, shared media is really unreliable. It's hard to protect what will be shared in advance and it's not scalable. Simply producing more content doesn't always mean more shares. You then have earned media, which is content recognition or exposure that is published by a third party or external channel without payment. So examples of earned media include publications in targeted outlets such as media coverage. So that's where all our traditional media comes in. It's one component of the wheel that, getting an article into The Guardian, doing something for an online blog like Mamma Mia. That's examples of earned media. Mentions, reviews, or endorsements from supporters. So think about on social media, if an influencer or somebody that's involved in your campaign posts about it autonomously, does a video about it, that's another example of earned media. And also backlinks. So if a nonprofit or a directory website or anywhere links from their website to yours, that's another example of earned media. Now, earned media is great in terms of it's authoritative, it being vouched for by a third party authority. So it's also cost-effective reach because you're leveraging the size and trust of an established audience. And the long-term benefits are, as like past press mentions or placements can be references to create long-term search engine benefits. And what that means is, if you're featured in The Guardian, like in 2020, it's still going to be there when somebody searches on the Google search engine in 2025. So it has long-term benefits. However, it's unreliable. You can never guarantee a press mention or placement. And that's becoming more and more true in our current society, where big business have an overarching reach and hold on traditional media outlets. It's hard to scale, does not scale well to global efforts or high volumes of messages. And what that means is that you have to localize what your media is for the different areas, like what works in so-called Australia, it's not going to say, work in the Philippines. And it's potentially expensive and resource intensive because it takes time and money to build earned media. And what that is like the relationships that you have with journalists, with other organizations, that does take time. And the last one is paid media. So paid media is for any payment for any content. So that could be advertising on digital or print platforms, search engine targeting, so Google Ads, or it can be an MAT or native release. So what that actually is, it's a short feature story designed to appear like an article. So you might see that in, your magazines and all that. It looks like an editorial, but it's actually an advertisement that is placed and paid for. Paid media is great in terms of it's scalable in terms of more money does equal more distribution. It's reliable as in it's a guaranteed exposure for your message. It's fast that media placed today can be in front of an audience today, but it is low trust. People are skeptical of paid placements or ads, and it's expensive. As reach or frequency increases, so does the cost, and it's ephemeral. Once you stop investment, returns will drop off quickly. These are some things to take into consideration with media and how we are looking across a range of different types of media to amplify our message to build